Are we gonna cry?
Ginjer could cry. I think Ginger's a crier.
You might smile and laugh and cry all at once. The personalities tend to escape as they, just that will.
How many personalities do you have?
There's a lot. There's a lot in there.
Yeah, I could see like 4 or 5 creeping up right now. Oh my God! Help us!
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the #1 mental health and addiction podcast, the Hopeaholics. I am your girl, Natalie Eva Marie, and these are my boys.
I'm Chad.
I'm at Shane Earn, baby.
Hell
Bash
yeah!
Brothers.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow us on our socials and wherever you get your podcasts.
And remember, new episodes dropping every Tuesday and Friday. Check them out.
This episode is brought to you by the Infinity Group. You guys, if you or a loved one is suffering, please call us today. The number is right here on the screen. We are here for you 24/7. Now, let's get into the episode.
So there's definitely a little bit of crazy up in there.
Oh, there's a lot of crazy.
Oh,
Did you watch the intervention at all? Nobody goes on intervention because they've been having a sane, normal past decade. Like,
This is
just
true.
saying. You know what I mean? Just saying.
Yeah.
So,
how did that
that's
go down?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly what I was gonna say.
Amazing.
Who made the phone call? What happened? How did that all start out?
Me, I pretended to be my family. I couldn't get my family on board. I had written intervention years before, and it was actually while I had my pending felony. So I got to a few processes in and then never heard from them again. I'm assuming because it's complicated when people have legal issues. You don't know if they're going to show up and investing a lot of money to come get this show from someone who's, addicts are notoriously not dependable. Yeah. So, you got some legal stuff going on too, girl.
Yeah.
But the second time, it was basically like I had come home from prison. I'd been home from prison for a little more than a year. I'd been on house arrest. I was about to complete house arrest. They told me I'd never drive again. They took my license for life when I was sentenced. And I started.
You hurt somebody?
Yeah, I fell asleep at the wheel and hit a pedestrian.
Oh, shit. Did they die?
No, she spent one night in the hospital but had 30 stitches and staples to her face and person. She was walking her dog by her house. And I was all fucked up. I had a prescription, but I had no business driving, and I knew I shouldn't drive. My kid had colic, had a 6-month-old baby at the time. I just dropped him off with his father's mother because I didn't sleep the night before. The father worked at the local hospital, did an MRI tech, and I was like, hey, I didn't have a house key. I wasn't allowed to have a house key while I lived there. So I was like, hey, I left and locked the door. I need to get back into the house. Okay, well, I'm about to go into surgery. If you need a key, you need to come right now because I could be in 20 minutes. I could be in 3 hours. It's a motorcycle accident. So we were literally a mile, maybe a mile and a half at most from the hospital. So I was like, well, I'm going to go the back way instead of off US 1 and Major Road because I'm not fit to drive. And this is my mindset. It's so important to me because it's hot outside and all these reasons that I have to go instead of just eating the consequence and sleeping in a hot car for a couple, you know what I mean? So either way I go and I nod out at the wheel, maybe 2/4 of a mile from the house. And when I came to, I immediately thought I hit a mailbox because I had done it before. And when I looked around, I saw a dog. It was like, I'm fucked up, I'm leaving. And I never saw her.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it just goes downhill from there. There's no coming back from anything like that.
So hit and run, and you didn't even know that you had hit somebody.
Yeah, I actually found out on the news. Was able to kind of put 2 and 2 together because of the area that I was in and the type of vehicle. I wasn't even in my car. I was in a friend's car. So the whole thing was just mess on top of mess. And I was
crazy.
Lucky I didn't kill the girl.
Yeah,
And I'll be honest, I even went by Ginjer Wulff on Facebook and Instagram for a long time because I didn't want to be associated with the intervention and the crime because I worked so hard, right, to get away from what that looked like. And I never wanted people to feel oh, here she is now. Her life got better. Good for her. What about the girl she hit? Now she's making money off a line. Or I never wanted people to feel I got any celebrity from what I did. I had a real victim. I wasn't a financial crimes person, and even those victims are real too. But like I had somebody that had physical pain and like probably worried if she was going to die because of my actions, you know? So that's never lost upon me. But I did a lot of like disassociating from it. And it's really just the past year that I've kind of started to connect, you know, who I was then with like who I have become. That makes sense?
Yeah. So how long ago were you on the show? So you made the initial call yourself, pretending to be a family member to come and basically get you?
Yeah. You write an email. The fact that they even read my email was amazing. They told me they get 10,000 emails a day.
Yeah, I
is
bet.
what they told me when they came out. But yeah, I pretended to be a member of my family. I think I pretended to be a boyfriend that I didn't even have. And then I convinced some guy to like come on the show and basically, you know, to say that he wrote them, because the way it was worded to me in the emails that I saw was that if intervention found out that you knew, and this is in 2015, so I don't know what they do now, but they pack up in the middle of the night and they leave and that you don't get treatment. And that to me would have been even more devastating, because like I was gonna shoot myself in the head. Like I think most addicts, when they've hit that like low bottom, I think most of us go through a point where it's like, what would it be like without me? Like, would everybody be better off without me, right? But for me, it was like I made a plan because I did not want to do I woke up on my 18th birthday with my first day of withdrawal. I didn't know what withdrawal was. So like my birthday's 2 days after Christmas because I'm Capricorn. So I didn't want to do another Christmas and another birthday strung out on drugs. I just couldn't do it. So I was going to shoot myself in the head in the backyard. That way, like, my landlord could still rent out his house. Like, that's where my head was. I didn't want him to have to come in and clean it up. I thought it would be easier to clean it up outside. And I felt like I basically told God, like, hey, like, I'll air out everything that I'm doing because I'm going to die either way. So either I'm going to get help. And I wrote like Dr. Phil and like the Ellen Show and like a couple of just random, anybody that I thought might pick it up and help me.
Yeah.
You know, but intervention was the one that responded. And I actually worked with them like via text messages and online for like almost 3 months before they actually said, okay, yeah, we're going to pull the trigger. We're going to come out there. And it's interesting because like I wanted to kill myself after my niece's birthday and before Christmas. My niece's birthday is December 16th, and that was the day of my intervention. So it was 100% a God thing. It had nothing to do with me.
And that was how long ago?
It's just 2015, so 8 years.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, December 2015.
And then you go on the show, and how was that?
I mean, as far as like the experience with them coming out or like the after or
All of it.
The during, yeah, the during. Them coming out and filming you, how did that go?
I mean, it was good. I mean, they showed up and did their job. They were where they said they were, where they would be, and you know, it's TV and film, right? So like there are situations that may not have come about naturally without the show, but that would have maybe been a situation that I would have voluntarily put myself in on another day had need arise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we would set up scenarios like that. That's probably the best way I could phrase it. So you see some things that like were orchestrated, but they were the focus of the show is to this life is so uncontrollable. This addiction has taken over every aspect of this life. These are the things that this person's willing to do. You know what I mean? So it definitely highlighted that.
Yeah, it highlights a storyline.
I actually kind of thought too that if I put something so graphic and so like shock value out there that I would never be able to go back to using, because I was like, well, no one will ever want to mess with me if they understand what it looks like on the other side,
Sure.
right?
Did you use again after the show?
Yes. Yeah, I did have a brief relapse period. I had surgery, and it wasn't like needles or like street use, but I was having to take something when I got my teeth done. I got my teeth fixed. I don't look like I chew on rocks no more. Isn't that nice? But yeah, it was rough. Dude, I had a bone graft, so they had to take bone out of one part. And they told, and they sent me to Disney. I mean, they didn't send me, but like I told them, hey, I'm going to Disney like tomorrow. She's like, oh, it's no big deal. And I'd never had surgery before. And I was like, well, hey, I'm like 2 years sober at this point. I woke up while they were sewing my face shut, and they charged me like $1,200 because of the Dilaudid, I guess, or whatever they gave me. And I just remember I kept telling him, you're hoarding the dope, or something. Like I was trying to come out of it, like as he's sewing my face shut, you know what I mean? And they're like flabbergasted that I am awake, you know what I mean? Because they had already gone over like the normal amount. And like I said, I'm 2 years sober at this point.
Yeah.
But that was interesting for me because it could have been super easy for me to go back into the lifestyle. I think getting pregnant saved me. I have a 4-year-old son, and I think because I had my surgery, and then like a few months later, I got knocked up, it was super easy to be like, well, the prescription ran out. I'm not going to go back to it because it's not just me anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had a really strong recovery community. The best people ask me all the time if I regret intervention, and like, no, not at all. Because like, yeah, it sucks to have like the worst week of your life, like filmed, especially because of what I was doing. You know, I had men financing my drug problem, which is never pretty. And then I'm shooting up in my neck. You know what I mean? Like I was just, you know, like it's one thing to tell you, right? It's another thing for you to watch it.
Sure.
It's like a let's watch Ginjer be sick party. It's weird. It's weird. And then the people too, like, you know, you get a combination of like people that reach out because, you know, they relate or they have family that's like it, or like I'm a lab rat or like a fish in a bowl kind of, they want to understand and they never really can. So, and then there's like the weird side of it, like weird people that think so, for some reason that's attractive, you know? But I think intervention gave me the opportunity to have a life that I never would have had without them. And I think
the start of it, anyways. It was the pistol. It was the starting race, the starting pistol.
Well, and to be honest, I can really connect it back to them to start because, like, I was able to walk away from a broken family dynamic. Like, I keep in touch with my family, but there's the enmeshment and the codependency isn't there as long as it was. I was also able to really connect with a whole town. Like even now when I go through stuff, like I go back to Destin because I'm so connected with the people in that community. And like I've said over and over and over, the rooms of the 12-step community saved my life because I was able to show up kicking and screaming and like,
good for you.
Yeah, and people are there with open arms being like, you're not alone.
And then they all watched it on TV and they were like, okay, like you want to go get lunch, like, you know. So it's freeing in a sense, and I think too it's nice because it's a visual reminder
for sure,
right? Because I'm like I have a typical addict ego. It rebuilds at an alarming rate, right? Like I'll be getting my butt kicked for like 10 years, and I have like 2 good days. I'm like, this ain't that bad. I can do this. I can manage this, right? I was just a little emotional.
Yeah. For sure.
The insanity is just, the insanity be bumping. That's all I gotta say.
That's why I always say it's wild, but you have to work at it every day. It's a daily reprieve. It's easy for my mind to forget where I can go unless I'm not working this thing every single day.
Yeah.
And that's like a true testament to exactly what you just said. It has to be done, or else we can go back to our old thinking, our old ways, and that is not where I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the most powerful things I heard in the beginning when I stepped in the rooms was, it was said in such an interesting way. It was like, I will step over your dead body to get in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. My goodness, I'm going to die? Like, I thought I came in here because I didn't want to die. But, like, I understand that, like, I had that serious, what's the word, that urgency of like, I have to do this. I have to do it now.
We call that the gift of desperation.
Yeah. I definitely had that. I was willing to change my whole life. And I had support, but I was also willing to tell people, hey, I need help, and willing to accept help when people showed up, even if it didn't look the way I thought it should look.
Yeah. Did you try to get sober before writing letters and all of the things to get on intervention?
Yeah. So I had clean time in prison, and I don't count it as sober time because to me, sober is a mindset, right? Like I was clean and abstinent from drugs and alcohol and the lifestyle, but I hadn't changed my thought process.
Right. No work.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything's still focused around like me being a victim
Totally.
and me reacting to scenarios that I continue to put myself in.
100%. Everybody else's fault. This is just like victim mentality
That-
type thing.
that-
Yeah.
Woes
that
me.
right there is growth. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the biggest change. That's the psychic change that has to happen for people to have a sober mindset.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Sobriety is the actual word sober has nothing to do with alcohol and drugs. It has everything to do with your mindset.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's just the same, like, dry drunk, the whole thing. Like, I was also abstinent in recovery, and I'll never do that again because at 4 years of sobriety, I wanted to shoot myself in the head and take my own life because I wasn't doing what was suggested because I was doing that prior, and life starts to happen and life starts to get good, and then I forget that I'm the problem and I have to continuously work at this thing, or else my thoughts will take me right back out. And so that's just being a dry drunk. Not you're in recovery, however, you're not doing what is suggested. Calling my sponsor, sponsoring other women, attending meetings, sharing, doing the deal. So I won't do that because I've made that mistake in recovery as well. So now I had to do that. I had to go through that pain so that I wake my brain up again to realize, yeah, it's every day. Sorry, bitch. If you want to live the way that you want to live and have the things that you want to have, which is peace of mind and, live by the principles in the 12 steps, then you got to do this daily.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what I got out of in prison, you were essentially sober.
Dry.
But
yeah.
dry.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting. You touched on something too. Like, so they always say insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
For me, insanity is, I know the result. I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, even though the result is not favorable. You know what I mean? And that was kind of like where I lived while I was in that addiction and that using, So.
What was your drug of choice?
Oxycodone, Oxycontin. Towards the end, it was dilaudid because you couldn't access oxycodone anymore because Florida had changed,
You're from Florida?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's your sobriety date?
So this is where it gets kind of weird. I don't technically celebrate a sobriety date because I found myself almost 3 years sober, like completely no alcohol, no fucking caffeine, nothing. When I wanted to shoot myself, I'd literally started boxing and doing aerial silks because I suffer from chronic pain. And I ended up going to a medical marijuana doctor. So so I feel like it's confusing. I almost want to cry again because I feel like I let people down, because people see the show, right? And I feel like I'm supposed to be able to tell everybody, I am 100% sober because that's what people want to hear. But I feel like it's so damaging, right, to other people to miss. For me, I'm not making a judgment on anybody else, but for me, I always want to be transparent because I know what it's like to be that girl looking in on somebody else. Being like, dude, your life is so much better. I did what they told me to do. Why isn't my life better? And your life is. Am I a bad person? Do I deserve this shitty life? Am I not working hard enough? So I feel like being transparent and being like, hey, I knew my limitations. I was doing the deal. I was working the steps. I had a sponsor. I had sponsees. I was going to meetings literally every day, some days two times a day, because people were telling me to pray the pain away. And it works to an extent. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that these things don't work. I'm saying with where I was at, and I felt like with everything that I had overcome, this was the best choice for me. So that is really why I don't celebrate sobriety date, because I feel like I got to leave it for the people that are really, truly no meds, no.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
You're not doing Dilaudid? You're not doing
No,
oxycodone?
I don't have a running track mark in my neck anymore. And like, I don't have any opposition to Matt. I feel like I have so many friends that are dying, so many friends that are dead. And I feel like at this point, my story is like, is your life manageable? Are you able to look yourself in the face every day and say that you don't cause chaos and you add value to your life and the lives of those around you? Are you established with your community? Like, are you committing crimes to live the lifestyle that you want to live? Does it make sense? And if I can say that, like, I'm on the good side of all of those things and not the bad side, and like to me, the consequence of my medical marijuana usage is that I have to tell people I am not sober. And I don't know if that makes sense to anybody but me, but it's just kind of like where I'm at with it. So like, and that's another reason why this is the first like recovery only podcast I've done, because I never want people to feel like, well, she's a fraud or she's not really, you know what I mean?
No, we're not just recovery either. So it's not the guests that we have on. Not all are addicts, not all are alcoholics. People suffer from mental health. We've had normies on our
Full-blown
podcast.
normies on our podcast.
I saw the cop.
Exactly. Full blown. He's
the man, though. I have to tell you, man.
Shout
That
out-
guy.
shout out
That
to
guy.
Sheriff.
First off, the shout out to Sheriff Barnes. Amazing dude. He called Catherine, wanting to talk to me. I hit him up on a text message last night, and he sent me the most beautiful text.
Really?
And he said he's been binge watching the Hopeaholics podcast, and I know he has because we never once mentioned my Lamborghini chase.
Oh,
in the and
he mentioned it in
he
the
said
text.
it's really funny that you say on the podcast, especially it was Natalie's podcast. He said it's really funny that you say that you don't count time anymore, because when you were in the Lamborghini, you were able to time travel.
That's how I felt when I bought a Tesla. I was like, oh my God, this is so fast. It's like the Gravitron ride.
So what do you think about that statement, Shane? About just like, hey, look, she used to do hard drugs. She used to do this. She used to do that.
What do you do?
First and foremost, never at the Hopeaholics is their judgment.
Yeah,
Never.
To anybody.
Never.
Yeah, you're
sobriety.
sitting across from three messes.
Yeah. Now, what I'm wondering
Legit.
is this: are you just smoking marijuana?
So I've got a vape pen. And
Are you
I've
just
got
smoking
vape.
marijuana?
Like I don't do anything else. No.
It's just a
I
simple
don't
question. Are you
drink,
just
no.
smoking marijuana?
Yes,
Is it
yes.
leading you to anything else?
No. Felt like it was a trick question. Like there was something he was looking for.
I don't know what to say. I mean, there's so many people in her position. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, was she in a circumstantial? Did she use dope for a reason? Is she cured now, miraculously, and able to smoke weed? Because you guys can't smoke weed, and you're going to end up going back to your drug of choice. She has the ability now.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I could or
let's
couldn't
just
smoke
assume.
weed. It's just that today I'm not willing to take that risk
Exactly.
for myself.
She has taken it, and she's come out on
And
the
I-
other side. So that's
and
hats
I
off,
also-
hats off to
I
you.
never liked that drug. I liked uppers anyway,
Yeah,
so
let's-
that's also
I
why.
just use that
you
as
know?
an example.
No, I know, but it's totally true.
Yeah.
Like it's that's the thing is in life in general, everybody to each their own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you have to do what is good for yourself, and as long as you are contributing, like you said, to society, as long as you're living a healthy life and you're not adding chaos and you're not adding
Bingo.
construction,
Bingo.
that's what matters. You know, are you providing a healthy relationship? Do you have are you contributing to your community? All of the things that you do learn in the 12 steps. But like for me, abstinence, it has to happen because I cause destruction. I cause chaos not only for myself, but for my family and for my loved ones. And then I turn into a very bad person.
Yeah.
So therefore I can't touch things. Other people, they struggle, but then they're able to, I know so many people that are beautiful people that can, do the mushroom thing, can do the marijuana, can do all of the things out there that I can't do. Do I wish that I could? Maybe on some days I wish I could, but I know that I can't. And that doesn't mean one is better than the other. It just means like everybody needs to do something where they become a better person.
Yeah.
You're the one that has to deal with yourself 24/7 and put your head on the pillow.
Yeah.
When you put your head on the pillow, are you good? Are you okay? Are you able to look yourself in the mirror and be straight with yourself? That's all. and you being vulnerable and honest about that is awesome. That's growth. You being able to sit here and say, you know what, I don't really use a sobriety date because of this. Yeah, that's honesty. That's what it's about. It's about having honest conversation and being honest about what you're doing on a daily basis. And that right there is growth.
Yeah.
And that's for you, because that individually, that works for you.
Yeah.
And also, for the, the people that, of course, sometimes in the 12-step community, you might have people in the back row that judge, but there's also a saying in the 12-step community: people that judge don't matter, and people that matter don't judge.
Yeah. Definitely heard that.
It's not for me to tell you what's
Totally.
right for you. It's for you to tell, and that's what any good 12-stepper would say, anyways.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree. Listen, I have
The only requirement for membership, just so you guys
is a
know,
desire.
is a desire to stop drinking.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
for
that's
Alcoholics
true. Yeah.
Anonymous.
Yeah.
The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. If you have a desire to stop drinking, you're welcome at an Alcoholics
Yeah.
Anonymous meeting.
100%.
You can even be a member.
Yeah.
It's the only requirement for membership.
Yeah.
I think Ginjer beats herself up a little too much.
People say that all the
You
time.
know what I mean? I mean,
We're the hardest worst critics.
it seems like you did it today. You beat yourself up for, I think, something.
Maybe it was just hard for her because this is the first recovery podcast
That's
she's ever
true.
had to come
That's
on.
True.
I'll be honest,
And
I was a
it-
little
and it meant-
nervous
Yeah.
for this one.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's the Hopeaholics, man. We're the Hope. I don't know. I'm just playing.
So seriously, no, you guys are kind of a big deal. And like, so what you just said is like, to touch off of what you were saying about, am I destructive? Am I helpful to other
Yeah.
people? I got to a point in sobriety where I was so miserable with my chronic pain and like the physical stuff that I was dealing with that I was not a positive message.
Sure.
Like if I had seen me in the beginning, like my first few days, I'd have related to me because of the misery I was in. And that was never something that I felt like Alcoholics Anonymous gave to me. Like Alcoholics Anonymous gave me a new life, a new purpose.
Tools.
And gave me a family. People that like will really show up for me when nobody else will.
Right.
So I felt like I kind of got in this weird limbo of like, well, I'm going to meetings, but I'm not sharing because they ask for you to not share if you've used any substances. So I was always like confused. And I felt like if I was confused, it's better off to just not say anything. But I would talk to people after meetings. And it's nice because with the podcast, right? I think I've managed to find what I have literally always wanted, which was a community where I could belong and I could help people and show up authentically.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about like
Totally.
my isms being like, well, that girl's fucking weird. You know what I mean? Because they're like, oh, she's weird. So are we.
Yeah.
Like, you want to come over?
Yeah.
You wanna hang out?
Exactly.
We got room, buddy. Everybody else said no.
There's
but
room
you're
on
gonna
the bus,
fit right
baby.
in.
There's room on the bus, and it's a short one. It's a real fucking short one. Only 4 seats on that motherfucker. They're all taken, baby. They're all fucking taken.
But we still got room.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. We
But,
got lots
well,
of
and
room.
it's great that you guys are so, and that was, I think that was one of the first things I had said to you, and you were like, well, hey, we'd be interested in hearing your story. I was like, well, I just want to let you know I'm not 100% sober because I don't want to misrepresent anything. But I think it's awesome that you guys are able to like have that disposition because I've seen people go out because they felt like they couldn't have honest conversation or I don't know what they were actually going through, but what the gist of what I have understood from several people that I've spoken with after the fact, because I only have the information that I have, right? Is that they felt they couldn't come in and be authentic because the fear of judgment was greater than the fear of relapse. I never had that. Like, it was rough for me out there. So I was like, dude, you guys are going to be judging me if I'm out running the street. You know what I mean? Like, I'd much rather you judge me in here trying to be sane, knowing I'm crazy, than just out there being crazy knowing I'm crazy. You know what I mean? You guys don't know
Bad
me.
shit. Bad shit crazy. It's fucking so fun. I love her.
you know what's funny, Shane?
She's really growing on me now.
That was wild. You don't even know.
what's funny,
buddy.
Shane?
What?
I have to tell you, I might have just met somebody that's fucking crazier than you.
Oh,
think we
yeah,
did.
buddy.
Like,
Dude, did you ever see the intervention commercials for my fucking episode, bro. Oh my God. So the poor camera guy called him my bathroom buddy because every time I go, hey, you want to get this, right? This is because I felt like that was what they wanted, you know? And I was like, well, if they're going to give me treatment, I'm going to give them a good show.
Right?
Yeah. So we're in there and you gotta hold your breath if you're trying to do that, right? So I'm going to do it and I hold my breath and I'm like, and my eyes like bug out and I turn around after I'm done. I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be aired for sure. Like they are not gonna miss that opportunity because the look
It's
on
hard
my
to
face.
it's hard to shoot up in your neck. I've tried it before.
The look on my face was the perfect moment in time to summarize everything that had been going on the 5 days that they had filmed.
Wow.
They only needed 5 days. I've heard other people say they followed them around for 3 weeks, but they needed 5 days for me, baby. That's how sick I
How long
was.
haven't you shut up in?
Since 2015.
Well, fucking good for her. I mean, to be able to quit the shooting, especially that's hardcore going in the neck, bro. We already know that.
Yeah.
And to smoke weed now and not go back to your drug of choice.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking hats off to you.
And
That's
you
really
did,
a
but
miracle.
it sounds to me too, though, like you did
She has chronic pain.
an extended time completely sober.
Yeah. I had almost 3 years. I was like 2 months and 2 months and 2 weeks shy of 3 years.
And
So
how is your life now?
my life's good now. I'm working
Yeah.
at TV and film. They just don't let me talk yet, but that's okay. We know why.
I don't blame him for right
You know
now,
what?
honey.
Here's-
Okay?
Here's the thing: they're gonna have to just find that perfect role for you.
Yeah.
Eventually.
It's there.
You-
It's
they're-
there.
Like maybe like the psycho killer.
Yeah.
Hey, Orange is the New
you know,
Black.
like-
I'm right in there. I'm in there,
boom.
baby.
Oh
They
my God,
reboot
I can see that.
Wentworth.
Oh, for sure.
She's an actress. You know what? She could have actually played the part. Maybe not that role, but something similar to the role because the girl that wanted you dead.
Oh yeah,
Didn't she kill you?
she did.
In the I saw your
My
clip.
first film.
But, okay.
Yeah, my first film.
What's the name of that movie?
Inconceivable with Nicolas Cage and Nikki Whelan is the actress that kills me in it.
Nice.
Yeah, she plays a good crazy.
Nice.
Like, I think roles, original roles, like your first role, man, if you can find something similar
Fit
to
you,
your
yeah,
personality.
Actually, the first job I ever booked was a Super Bowl commercial.
Nice.
Aired last year. It was the
Yeah.
He Gets Us campaign, the Jesus campaign. They didn't tell us that what it was or that it was a Super Bowl commercial. They just
Wow.
you said get the thing from your agent, saying that they think you're a fit and they want you to audition.
Yeah.
And like 3,000 people auditioned for that job.
Wow.
And like I think it was like 5 or 7 people were chosen as primary. I was one of them.
Nice.
Yeah, it was interesting too because after that interview, I said something like outlandish, like the Tourette's in me, just this personalities were trying to escape, and I don't know what happened, but I was.
You should really wear earplugs. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to let them out. I don't know what else to say. Holy fuck.
But
We've met 3 of them right now, so
dude,
where's the
you've
other
met
one?
more than we've cycled through probably 6 or 7 already.
Fair enough. Some of them are very similar.
They are.
You
They'll
know?
trick you. They're
Yeah,
sneaky.
I've been tricked. I've been tricked, all right.
But it was funny because like I have this outlandish outburst and like all I knew was that it was a public service announcement was kind of how
okay.
they what they said in the thing. So I was like, why would you say that? Why would the casting director hit the table and hit the floor? And I was like, oh, that can't be good. So I went in the car and cried. And then for 3 weeks, I beat myself up. I was like, why would you do that? What is wrong with you? Now they're not going to hire me, but they're going to remember me. That's great. You should go change. Like, this is what's going through my head, right? They booked me. I was the first person they booked.
Wow.
It was so weird. I did another commercial that was with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it was another one where I was like, dude, I shouldn't even submit for this. I was actually boxing. I used my boxing footage.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't submit. I submitted it literally like 10 minutes before it was due, and they booked me for that too. And I'm still shocked to this day. I'm still shocked. But
You're not the only one.
I've actually had really cool opportunities to be in some bigger productions, just as background. I met John Travolta, and he was
Nice.
by
I
far
like
my
John
favorite.
Travolta. Yeah, I like him.
Dude, I was like surprised by how handsome he was. I mean, everybody knows that John Travolta's an attractive man, but like he walked out, and I was just like, it just threw me. Yeah, it caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Kind of like Emily earlier today. Caught her off guard.
Emily.
Emily.
We should really have a camera on Emily.
Yeah.
at some point. Yeah,
We
for
should.
Sure, so that we could.
We
like,
can turn that one
That
right
should be
there.
turned so we could
We
actually.
can actually
Here.
we can just move
and we
it down.
should have the button to point to pick the.
Every time somebody talks
Yeah.
about her, just
Yeah.
tap the button.
for sure.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
put the camera right there.
Wow.
Like Joe Rogan does now, because
For Jamie?
Jamie has a camera now.
Oh, he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so, and basically, you know, why I bring up the TV and film, right, is because without everything that I've been through, I would not have had that opportunity. You know what else I was thinking too was I have traveled more this year than the past 10 years, you know, combined, really. And I mean, we were doing a lot of moving. I raised a baby, you know, it's now a little short midget in my bed every night. But I have so much more freedom emotionally, financially, physically. I physically could not be farther than the dope dealer for more than 6 hours. You know what I mean? Because I had to, if I didn't get that fix, it was going to be a really bad day for me and everybody else physically.
Yeah.
You know, and like I would do it again. You know, even with like, you know, there's been jobs that I haven't been able to get because, you know, my name is associated with the intervention. And there's been little things, but I feel like they're blessings that I didn't get those because every time something would come up and somehow the intervention would be brought up, the opportunity would disappear and then something better, more suited for me would come up within, you know, 3 months or so.
Oh, for sure.
That was, you know, it was
I hear you.
basically God telling me, sit down. I've got you. Stop.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because I was thinking, you know, while you were talking about the insanity, and again, this might not make sense to people who are totally like completely sober, but like I still use a lot of the tools that the 12-step community gave me, like a nightly review.
Yeah.
And for me, other than the actual community and learning how to connect with people without some type of additive, you know, to make it easier to get to know people. I feel like the 4th and 5th step were so pivotal for me to have change because it was so easy for me to let go of things and give them to God because I was able to see the recurring pattern and the underlying things. Whereas before, they were all separate infractions. You know what I mean? That had happened to me, not, oh, well, you're continuing to put yourself in situations where you're going to run up against your core beliefs, you know, and you wonder why it's not working out the way you would like it to.
Exactly. That's why, I mean, I love the 12 steps, obviously, because, you know, it's definitely given me a life beyond my wildest dreams, but we say it all the time. It would be really, they could rename it or do something else so that it's not so 12-step-ish. But if every person took the tools of the 12 steps, because it really is just peeling back the onion of yourself, looking at yourself, taking accountability, and you're able to actually see sometimes the character defects and the repeated behavior that you yourself are doing, or you're putting yourself into those situations that repeatedly that you can now see and then hopefully correct.
Yeah.
Instead of playing a victim role.
Well, let me ask you this, because we're slowly running out of time, and I always like to. First off, grateful that you were able to show up and come. But we always like to. Your camera is that one right there, right there. And you could just talk to Natalie or I, either way. But we always like to ask our guests to, you know, offer some hope to somebody that's hurting, that's out there, that's struggling in pain, like, because they're so afraid to ask for help. You went to extreme lengths to get help.
Extreme lengths to get high, buddy. I mean, like it's got to balance out at some point, right?
Yeah.
Bill comes due.
Yeah, it does. What do you say to people that are, you know, that are struggling, just to, you know, they're in pain and they need a glimmer of hope just to get, you know, pick up that phone and make that phone call.
The most powerful tool that you will ever need, you already have. That's your voice. You know, like I can't help somebody that doesn't want help. I was grateful to have the gift of desperation. I also think that if you continue to, or let me say for me, my hope came when I stopped allowing other people to control my destiny. Right? And I'm not saying I control it, because I don't, but I will put things out to God and leave them with God even now. And God will show up in my life and will somehow make it very clear what is and what is not for me. And that's people, places, things, ideas. Because all of those things can be toxic to me. And even if I am doing, like I tell people all the time, like I've got really broad shoulders, like I can handle a lot of weight. And one of the hardest things for me to do is to leave somebody behind, right? Like we were talking earlier about how I'm trying to connect with these people that are all like scattered around Southern California. And I've got like 3 days to do it. I'm trying to not necessarily hunt people down, but be like, hey, I'm here for you no matter what you're going through right now. Because I never want to leave people behind, but like at some point you got to like kick your feet and start swimming. You know, if other people could do it for you, would they? A lot of people think they would. I know what my fight was like to get out of where I was to where I am now. I don't know anybody that would have done that for me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I don't know that I would have learned the lessons or would have any value to the experience, if that makes sense. You know, like you can't appreciate sunshine without rain, right? So I guess to sum it up, it's like, look at where are you investing your energy? Are you investing your energy in something that like at infinitum is going to give you a return that's going to be exponentially better for you and your community and your family and your mindset than what you were doing yesterday? Or are you putting all your eggs in one basket and throwing it out the window, essentially? You know what I mean? Which is what I felt like I was always doing, leaving my mental health, my sanity, and my physical wellness on the availability of a pill. Because that's just in a nutshell what I did. Like my entire day and my entire being just revolved around, can I access and administer this drug to my body to get the effects that I want? And I try to get those effects from my community and like give what I take, if that makes sense. Because again, you know, bill comes due, right? If I'm always taking from even a sober community, like at some point I'm going to become stagnant. And that's like petrifying for me. I have to always be moving. I have to always be growing because like where I'm comfortable, like I live in chaos. So usually if I'm like in a super comfortable situation, it's because I can control it. And that's usually not good. If Ginjer's running everything, it's not usually good. Or it's because it's familiar. And like for me, there's no growth in what is familiar. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Oh, I'm long-winded.
I love it.
No, that was nice. That was nice.
Good for you.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, awesome, and thank you so much
Yeah,
for
Thanks for having me.
coming on and hanging with the Hopeaholics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Now back to the hunt.
Woo woo.
Back-
Woo.
Woo woo.
Back to the hunt.
Yeah, she's hunting down
I
her
know.
friends.
Yeah.
No. Good luck.
Yeah,
People
I
that need
know.
her.
I know.
I know. I already changed my flight twice.
Oh my God. Ginjer.
I'm hoping I got one more person that I'm gonna try to get with. Like it's so hard for me to leave people behind, man. And even
you
if
know
I'm like
what, though?
2 hours away, I'm like,
But
bro,
you know
I'll
what?
come to you.
You said it. You said it just a few seconds ago.
I know.
It's really difficult. If you don't want it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can't do it for them. And it's the hardest thing for people, especially when they're close to you. I have my brother right now, you know, I can't do it for him, nor can my parents. And he has to do it himself because it requires the footwork and the actionable steps by that individual.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks. And that's what sucks about this addiction that is killing people, is because what it's doing also is hurting the people that love them the most as well.
Yeah.
Because they're watching them die.
Yeah, I've been raising my brother's kids for the past 2 years.
Exactly.
So
And that's
they're like
tough.
old, so
Yeah,
they know,
for
they know
sure.
what's going on. So
For
I get
sure.
that.
And it sucks, but that's why we exist, to spread the you can do it. Anybody can do it.
Yeah,
You
if
just
I
gotta-
was able to get sober, like
for sure. You just got to put in the work.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
This
It
one
was
particular
crazy.
case, it's
Yeah.
very
It was
true.
crazy, guys.
Thank you so much
Yes,
again.
thanks
Ginjer.
for having
Thank
me. It
you,
was
man.
good.
Thank you. Thank you. Ginger, I'm knuckling. Thanks.
Knuckle up.